Good morning, everyone. Wada. Let me begin with a simple but powerful question. What if the only thing standing between you and your dream life is your daily routine? Not your talent, not your background, not your luck, just your habits, wisdom, and life lessons. Success is not built in a day, it is built daily. Today I am going to speak about 7 daily habits that make you unstoppable. Every great transformation begins with a decision made in the quiet moments of the morning, before the world starts demanding your attention, before notifications begin to flash, and before responsibilities pull you in different directions. There is a small window of time that belongs entirely to you. How you use that window determines the quality of your day. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their focus to external noise, messages, news, social media, deadlines. Unstoppable individuals do the opposite. They wake up with intention. They choose purpose over pressure. Purpose is not something complicated. It is simply clarity about why you are doing what you are doing. When you rise with a clear reason for your efforts, your energy changes. Instead of rushing through the day reacting to circumstances, you begin to move with direction. Think about this. When a ship leaves the harbor without a destination, any wind seems useful. But when the destination is clear, even strong winds can be navigated. Your morning clarity acts as that destination. Professionals who perform at the highest levels understand the power of a purposeful start. They do not allow their mood to dictate their productivity. They anchor themselves in intention. This could be reviewing their long-term vision, reflecting on their values, or identifying the 3 most important tasks that align with their bigger goals. When you consciously decide what matters most today, you reduce confusion and increase effectiveness. You stop confusing business with progress. There is also a psychological advantage to beginning with purpose. The human brain seeks direction. Without it, it defaults to urgency. Urgent tasks may feel important, but they often distract from meaningful progress. When you define your purpose in the morning, you train your mind to prioritize what truly counts. Instead of asking, what is shouting the loudest? You ask, what moves me closer to my vision? That subtle shift creates extraordinary impact over time. Starting with purpose also builds emotional stability. When challenges arise, and they will, you are less likely to be shaken. Why? Because your actions are connected to something larger than temporary discomfort. Pressure loses its power when purpose is stronger. A difficult conversation, a missed opportunity, or a sudden obstacle becomes easier to handle when you remember the reason behind your journey. You are not working just to complete tasks. You are building a life aligned with your values and aspirations. Creating a purposeful morning does not require hours of preparation. It requires presence. Even 10 to 15 minutes of intentional reflection can reset your entire mindset. You might ask yourself powerful questions. What kind of person do I want to be today? What is one action that will create long-term value? How can I add meaning to my work? These questions activate clarity and focus. They transform a routine day into a deliberate one. When you know why something matters, you are more willing to commit to it consistently. Excuses lose their appeal. Distractions lose their charm. You become less reactive and more proactive. Over time, this consistency builds credibility with yourself first and then with others. People trust individuals who operate with direction. Leaders are not defined by how loudly they speak, but by how clearly they see. In a professional environment, starting with purpose enhances performance and influence. Teams respond positively to individuals who demonstrate clarity. Decision-making becomes sharper. Time management improves. Stress decreases because your actions are aligned with intention rather than scattered across impulses. Purpose creates structure without rigidity. It allows flexibility but within a framework of meaning. Every morning presents a choice. You can wake up under pressure, pulled by demands, or you can wake up with purpose guided by vision. Difference between the two may seem small in a single day, but over months and years it becomes life-changing. Purpose transforms ordinary mornings into strategic beginnings. It shifts you from surviving the day to leading it. When you consistently start with intention, you do not merely move through life, you direct it. In today's fast-paced world, the greatest battlefield is not in the marketplace, the boardroom or the competition outside. It is within the mind. The quality of your thinking determines the quality of your decisions, and the quality of your decisions shapes the direction of your life. Training your mind to stay strong is not a luxury. It is a necessity for anyone who aspires to become truly unstoppable. External circumstances will always fluctuate, but a disciplined and resilient mind creates stability amid uncertainty. It absorbs information constantly, interprets situations quickly, and often responds emotionally before rational analysis takes place. Without deliberate training, it becomes vulnerable to stress, fear, comparison, and self-doubt. A single negative comment can dominate your thoughts for hours. A minor setback can feel like a major failure. This is not because the situation is overwhelmingly powerful, but because the mind has not been conditioned to manage it effectively. Strengthening the mind begins with awareness. You must first observe your thoughts before you attempt to control them. Professionals who perform at a high level understand that mental clarity is built through reflection. Whether through meditation, mindful breathing, journaling, or quiet contemplation, setting aside time daily to slow down your thinking creates space between stimulus and response. In that space lies your power. Instead of reacting impulsively, you learn to respond strategically. Mental training also involves managing internal dialogue. Every individual carries an ongoing conversation within. That voice can either elevate performance or sabotage potential. If your inner narrative constantly reinforces doubt, I am not capable, I always fail, this is too difficult, your behavior will unconsciously align with those beliefs. On the other hand, when you intentionally cultivate constructive self-talk, I can learn from this. I am improving. This challenge will strengthen me. You build psychological resilience. The goal is not unrealistic optimism, but balanced and empowering realism. In professional environments, especially emotional intelligence separates average performers from exceptional leaders. Situations will test your patience, challenge your confidence, and sometimes provoke frustration. A trained mind does not suppress emotions, it understands them. It recognizes anger without allowing it to dictate actions. It acknowledges fear without surrendering to paralysis. This level of control enhances credibility and influence because stability inspires trust. Focus is equally critical. The modern environment is saturated with distractions competing for attention, emails, notifications, meetings, and constant information streams. Fragment concentration. A strong mind learns to prioritize depth over distraction. This requires intentional boundaries, dedicated time blocks for focused work, conscious limitation of digital interruptions, and disciplined attention to high-value tasks. When your mind is scattered, productivity declines. When your mind is focused, performance accelerates. Brilliance is another outcome of consistent mental training. Challenges are inevitable in any meaningful pursuit. Projects may fail, opportunities may be delayed, and criticism may arise. Without mental resilience, these experiences become discouraging obstacles. With resilience, they become learning platforms. A strong mind interprets setbacks as feedback rather than final verdicts. It asks constructive questions. What can I improve? What lesson can I extract? How can I adapt? This perspective transforms adversity into growth. Consistency plays a vital role in developing mental strength. Just as physical fitness requires regular exercise, cognitive and emotional resilience require daily practice. Short, consistent mental disciplines, 10 minutes of mindfulness, intentional reflection before major decisions, conscious reframing of negative thoughts compound over time. The results may not be immediately visible, but they become evident in composure, clarity, and confidence under pressure. When you train your mind, you enhance every dimension of your performance. Decision-making becomes sharper because it is less clouded by emotion. Communication becomes clear because it is grounded in thoughtfulness. Leadership becomes more effective because it is supported by calm authority. Most importantly, you experience internal stability that is not easily shaken by external volatility. A strong mind does not eliminate problems. It equips you to navigate them with composure and confidence. It allows you to operate from intention rather than impulse, from clarity rather than confusion. When your mind is disciplined, focused, and resilient, you are not controlled by circumstances. Instead, you influence them with deliberate action and thoughtful response. There is a significant difference between feeling inspired and being committed. Inspiration is emotional and temporary. Commitment is deliberate and consistent. Many individuals wait for the right mood, the perfect timing, or a surge of motivation before taking action. However, high performers understand a fundamental truth. Progress is not driven by how you feel in a moment, but by what you choose to do, regardless of how you feel. Choosing discipline over excuses is the defining habit of those who achieve sustained excellence. Motivation often arrives in powerful waves. After attending a seminar, reading a book, or setting a new goal, energy levels rise and enthusiasm feels limitless. Yet within days, routine returns, distractions increase, and challenges emerge. When the initial excitement fades, only discipline remains. When the initial excitement fades, discipline is the structured decision to act in alignment with your priorities. Even when comfort tempts you to delay, it transforms ambition from a wish into a measurable outcome. They rarely present themselves as avoidance. Instead, they appear as reasonable justifications. I will start tomorrow. I am too tired today. The conditions are not ideal. While each statement may contain a degree of truth, collectively they create stagnation. Discipline challenges these narratives. It asks a simple but powerful question. What action can I take right now? Even if it is small, that shift from postponement to progress builds momentum. In professional environments, discipline enhances reliability. Colleagues and leaders value individuals who consistently deliver, not those who occasionally excel when inspired. Consistency builds trust. When you meet deadlines, prepare thoroughly and maintain high standards regardless of external pressure, you establish credibility over time. Credibility becomes influence. People rely on disciplined individuals because their performance is predictable and dependable. Choosing discipline also strengthens self-respect. Every time you follow through on a commitment, whether it is completing a task, maintaining a routine, or honoring a promise, you reinforce a powerful internal message. I can trust myself. Conversely, repeated excuses weaken confidence. When you consistently break commitments to yourself, self-doubt grows. Is not merely about productivity. It is about integrity. It is about intention. It is about integrity. It aligns your actions with your intentions. One of the most effective strategies for cultivating discipline is structure. Clear schedules, defined goals, and measurable benchmarks reduce defined goals. And measurable benchmarks reduce the likelihood of procrastination. When expectations thrive, when expectations are specific, action becomes clearer. For example, committing to improve skills is ambiguous and easily delayed. Committing to practice for 1 hour daily at 7 a.m. eliminates ambiguity. Structure supports discipline by reducing decision fatigue. It is also important to recognize that discipline does not require perfection. There will be days when performance is not optimal. The objective is not flawless execution but consistent effort. Even on low-energy days, maintaining a minimal standard prevents regression. A brief workout is better than none. A short study session is better than postponement. These small acts preserve momentum and reinforce habit formation. Discipline also enhances emotional resilience. When you operate based on commitment rather than mood, you become less vulnerable to emotional fluctuations. Stress, disappointment, or temporary frustration do not derail progress as easily. Instead of asking whether you feel like continuing, you remind yourself of the commitment you have made. This mindset reduces impulsive decisions and strengthens long-term focus. Over time, disciplined behavior compounds. Small, consistent actions accumulate into substantial achievements. Daily reading expands knowledge. Regular practice refines skill. The results may appear gradual, but they are powerful. Those who rely solely on motivation often experience cycles of intense activity followed by inactivity. Those who rely on discipline experience steady growth. Choosing discipline over excuses is not about suppressing emotion or eliminating rest. It is about prioritizing long-term objectives over short-term comfort. It requires conscious decision-making, structured routines, and accountability. When discipline becomes habitual, productivity increases, confidence strengthens, and progress accelerates. Begin to operate with intentional consistency rather than unpredictable bursts of energy. positioning yourself for sustained professional and personal advancement. Taking full responsibility for your life is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. It marks the transition from passive participation to active leadership in your own journey. Many individuals unconsciously assign control of their outcomes to external factors, economic conditions, organizational politics, family background, timing, or the actions of others. While these elements undeniably influence circumstances, they do not determine personal growth or long-term success. Responsibility shifts your focus from what you cannot control to what you can influence. When challenges arise, it is easy to attribute them to unfair treatment, limited opportunities, or unfavorable environments. This perspective reduces immediate emotional discomfort because it removes personal accountability. However, it also removes power. When responsibility is outsourced, so is control. The moment you accept that your responses, decisions, and efforts are within your authority, you reclaim the ability to shape outcomes. In professional settings, individuals who take responsibility stand out. They do not wait to be directed at every step. They anticipate needs, identify gaps, and propose solutions. If a project encounters difficulties, they ask, "What can I do to improve this?" rather than, "Who caused this?" This mindset fosters trust and positions them as reliable contributors. Peers consistently look for team members who own their roles rather than merely perform assigned tasks. When you understand that consequences are linked to your choices, you become more thoughtful and strategic. Impulsive actions decrease. Long-term thinking increases. You begin to evaluate options based not only on convenience but on alignment with your values and objectives. This level of ownership creates maturity in both professional and personal spheres. Another important dimension of responsibility is learning from setbacks. Mistakes are inevitable in any meaningful pursuit. The critical difference lies in interpretation. Those who avoid responsibility may deny, or deflect criticism. Those who embrace responsibility analyze outcomes objectively. They ask constructive questions. What contributed to this result? What could I have handled differently? What skill do I need to develop? This approach transforms errors into education and accelerates growth. Taking responsibility also strengthens resilience. When you recognize that your progress depends largely on your initiative, challenges become opportunities to exercise control rather than evidence of limitation. Instead of feeling trapped by circumstances, you search for adaptive strategies. Even in environments with constraints, responsible individuals identify areas where improvement is possible. This proactive stance builds confidence because proact becomes tied to effort rather than luck. In team environments, responsibility enhances collaboration. When each member owns their commitments, collective performance improves. Accountability reduces misunderstandings and fosters transparency. If delays occur, responsible individuals communicate openly and seek corrective action instead of concealing issues. This behavior creates a culture of reliability and mutual respect. On a personal level, respectively cultivates integrity. Your commitments to deadlines, to self-improvement, to relationships are honored not because someone is monitoring you, but because you value alignment between words and actions. Integrity builds self-trust, and self-trust fuels confidence. When you consistently meet your own standards, your belief in your capabilities strengthens. It is important to distinguish responsibility from self-criticism. Taking ownership does not mean assigning excessive blame to yourself or ignoring external realities. It means recognizing that while you cannot control every event, you can control your preparation, response, and attitude. Ruins defensiveness while promoting growth. Responsibility transforms obstacles into platforms for development. It shifts your language from "I can't" because to "how can I." It moves you from reaction to initiative, from complaint to contribution. Over time, this mindset compounds into professional credibility, stronger relationships, and measurable achievement. When you consistently choose ownership over excuses, you position yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as an architect of your progress. Sustained success is rarely the result of isolated effort. It is the outcome of continuous growth. In an environment where industries evolve rapidly, technologies advance daily, and expectations consistently rise, remaining static is not a neutral position. it is a gradual decline. Committing to growth every single day is not merely about acquiring new information. It is about expanding perspective, refining capability, and increasing value. Those who prioritize daily development position themselves ahead of change rather than reacting to it. Growth begins with intellectual curiosity. Professionals who consistently advance are not satisfied with current competence alone. They ask deeper questions, explore emerging trends, and seek to understand not only how things work, but why they work. This mindset transforms learning from a requirement into a strategic advantage. When curiosity drives action, development becomes a continuous process rather than a periodic event tied to formal training sessions. Reading remains one of the most powerful tools for growth. Books, research papers, and credible industry publications provide access to ideas refined through experience and expertise. Regular reading strengthens analytical thinking, broadens vocabulary, and enhances communication skills over time. Accumulated knowledge builds a competitive edge. The individual who reads consistently develops insight that informs smarter decisions and innovative solutions. Beyond reading, growth requires deliberate skill enhancement. Identifying key compete needs relevant to your profession and investing time in refining them ensures long-term relevance. This may involve technical training, leadership workshops, communication development, or digital proficiency. Structured learning plans provide direction, while consistent practice solidifies mastery. Improvement does not happen accidentally. It results from intentional effort. Feedback is another essential component of daily growth. Constructive input from mentors, supervisors, and peers highlights blind spots that self-evaluation may overlook. Rather than perceiving feedback as criticism, growth-oriented individuals view it as data for improvement. They analyze patterns, adjust strategies, and track progress. This openness accelerates development and demonstrates maturity within professional environments. Growth also extends beyond technical skills into mindset development. Adaptability, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking are cultivated through experience and reflection. Engaging with diverse perspectives, participating in cross-functional projects, and stepping outside comfort zones expand cognitive flexibility. Exposure to new challenges forces creative problem-solving and strengthens resilience. Each unfamiliar situation becomes an opportunity to enhance capability. Time management plays a critical role in sustaining daily growth. Busy schedules often create the illusion that development can be postponed. However, even short, consistent investments of time, 20 to 30 minutes dedicated to learning or reflection, compound significantly over months and years. Structured routines ensure that growth remains a priority rather than an afterthought. Scheduling development activities reinforces commitment and prevents stagnation. Another important dimension is mentorship and networking. Surrounding yourself with experienced professionals accelerates learning through shared insight. Conversations with knowledgeable individuals reveal strategies, lessons, and industry nuances that are not always found in formal materials. Building meaningful professional relationships fosters collaboration and exposes you to broader opportunities for advancement. Self-assessment is equally vital. Periodically evaluating your strengths, weaknesses, and progress ensures alignment with long-term goals. Clear benchmarks provide direction, while measurable milestones create motivation. Growth without measurement can feel abstract. Measurable improvement reinforces confidence and clarity. Continuous growth strengthens professional credibility. Employers and clients recognize individuals who consistently upgrade their knowledge and skills. This reputation enhances career mobility and expands influence. More importantly, growth builds internal confidence. As competence increases, uncertainty decreases. Decisions become more informed, communication becomes more persuasive, and leadership becomes more impactful. In rapidly evolving environments, complacency carries risk. Choosing daily growth safeguards relevance and fuels advancement. By maintaining curiosity, seeking feedback, refining skills, and investing time consistently, you create momentum that compounds over time. Each day of intentional improvement positions you not only to adapt to change, but to lead it with confidence and strategic foresight. Ambition drives progress, but gratitude sustains it. In the pursuit of excellence, it is easy to become intensely focused on future goals, higher performance, greater recognition, expanded influence. While aspiration is essential, an exclusive focus on what is next can quietly diminish appreciation for what already exists. Practicing gratitude while striving for greatness creates balance. It strengthens emotional stability, enhances profession, all relationships, and sustains motivation over the long term. Gratitude is often misunderstood as complacency. In reality, it is a powerful mindset that sharpens perspective. Being grateful does not mean settling for less. It means recognizing for less. It means recognizing value in the present while working toward improvement. This balanced approach reduces anxiety because it prevents success from being defined solely by distant milestones. When you appreciate current opportunities, skills, and relationships, your pursuit of advancement becomes grounded rather than desperate. In professional environments, gratitude influences behavior in measurable ways. Individuals who consistently acknowledge support, recognize teamwork, and express appreciation foster stronger collaboration. Shy, warm people are naturally inclined to contribute more effectively when their efforts are valued. A simple acknowledgement of contribution can elevate morale and strengthen trust over time. This creates a positive culture that enhances collective performance. Gratitude also refines leadership presence. Leaders who demonstrate appreciation are perceived as more approachable and authentic. Rather than focusing exclusively on outcomes, they recognize effort and progress. This balanced recognition builds loyalty and commitment within teams. Professionals who integrate gratitude into their leadership style often inspire sustained engagement rather than short bursts of compliance. On a personal level, gratitude enhances resilience. Challenges are inevitable in any ambitious journey. Deadlines may be missed, negotiations may fall through, and plans may require adjustment. Without gratitude, setbacks can feel overwhelming because attention is fixed solely on what is lacking. With gratitude, perspective withens. You begin to recognize strengths, lessons, and resources that remain available. This broader outlook reduces emotional volatility and strengthens composure. Gratitude also improves cognitive clarity. Research in psychology consistently highlights its impact on mental well-being and focus when you intentionally acknowledge positive aspects of your professional and personal life. Stress decreases and optimism increases. Does not eliminate challenges, but it shifts your interpretation of them. A grateful mindset supports solution-oriented thinking rather than problem-centered rumination. Integrating gratitude into daily routines does not require elaborate rituals. It can be practiced through intentional reflection, identifying 3 meaningful aspects of your day, acknowledging a colleague's support, or recognizing personal progress. These brief but consistent practices reorient attention toward value. Over time, they cultivate a habit of appreciation that becomes instinctive rather than forced. Importantly, gratitude enhances ambition rather than limiting it. When you appreciate your current position, you operate from confidence rather than insecurity. Goals become expressions of growth, not attempts to compensate for dissatisfaction. This distinction influences performance. K is rooted in gratitude promotes steady progress and thoughtful risk-taking. In contrast, ambition fueled by constant distraction can lead to burnout and strained relationships. Gratitude also strengthens professional networks. CN to mentors, clients, and collaborators reinforces long-term connections. But relationships built on mutual respect and acknowledgement tend to endure beyond individual projects or roles. These enduring relationships often open doors to new opportunities, partnerships, and growth. Balancing ambition with gratitude creates sustainable excellence. You remain driven but not restless, focused but not anxious, competitive yet collaborative. This equilibrium supports both achievement and well-being when you pursue greatness while consistently valuing what you already possess: skills, experiences, support systems. You cultivate stance fluctuations in performance or circumstance. Such stability enhances credibility, emotional intelligence, and long-term impact, allowing progress to be both purposeful and fulfilling. In closing, remember this: you don't become unstoppable overnight. You become unstoppable by showing up every day. Even on the days you don't feel like it, start tomorrow morning. Not next month, not next year. because your future is created by what you do daily. Thank you. And may you all rise, grow, and become truly unstoppable.